Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our press briefing today. Today, we're going to be talking about apprenticeships, and we've got a number of different folks who have joined us here today. So, as far as speaking parts today, we've got Dan Phillips, who is the Director for Innovation and College and Career Readiness at Grand Island Public Schools. Previously ran the Career Pathways Institute. And actually, Dan, that's how you and I met. Even before I became governor, I think I took a career pathways. It was very impressive. You were one of the first career academies in Nebraska, right?
Yes.
If not the first one, it was the first one? Yeah, so Dan's got great experience in this. We also have Matt Gottschalk, who is the president of Central Community College, and Matt has been key in a lot of the programs we've got talking about today, so he's going to be speaking. We also have Kelly Stopp, and you are the Senior Vice President of Human Resources at Lindsay Corporation, so obviously you have a big interest in developing our talent here in the state, so appreciate that. And of course, then John Albin, who's the director, or who's the commissioner for the Department of Labor, who is going to be accepting our proclamation here in a little bit. Also joining us in the audience, but not speaking, we've got James Whiteman, U.S. Department of Labor Apprenticeship State Director. And we've got, James, where are you? Raise your hand. Okay, there he is, James. We got Lisa Wilson, CNH Plant HR Manager, over here, great. We got Katrina Gray, who's the area-wide apprenticeship coordinator for Central Community College. All right, next to her, great. And Scott Miller, Senior Director of College Communications for Central Community College. Where is Scott? Oh, over there, over on the other side, there we go. And then Nate Allen, Dean of Instruction for Central Community College. And where's Nate? Oh, there you go. Got to move it there. The lights kind of blind me here, so I can't always see it. Got to give it a little movement. All right, great. So, but before we get into the apprenticeship program, I do want to start by just talking about saying thanks to the folks who helped out with the Buffalo Creek fire. That was a fire we've been fighting since November 14th in mostly Scottsbluff, but a little southern Scottsbluff, but a little bit in northern Banner County as well. And I'm pleased to be able to say this morning it's about 95% contained, and want to thank all the folks who participated in helping get that fire contained. It is a team effort. And so I want to thank the fire departments, the mutual aid fire departments, the Nebraska National Guard, the Nebraska State Patrol. We had help from Wyoming. They sent a strike team. Colorado sent a helicopter and 2 seat planes. Those are the planes that can help drop retardants and so forth. So we have had, again, it's a team effort. 27 different fire departments, I think, participated. We had the firefighter ministries in Gering provide meals, as well as Gering high school students providing meals. And really a great team effort. I want to highlight one of the new things we did in this. The Nebraska State Patrol provided drones to be able to help pinpoint hot spots and direct some of the drops for the fire retardant, which really improved the accuracy of how that was working. So again, great team effort between the Nebraska National Guard and the Nebraska State Patrol to be able to make that happen, and just overall great teamwork overall. So I just want to give a shout out to all the folks who helped work to bring that fire under control. Game and Parks, the Sheriff's Department, everybody worked because it's hunting season, deer hunting season started, so they worked very hard to make sure there weren't any hunters out there being put in danger by the fire. So again, just a lot of great people worked to be able to take care of that. So, Nebraska's growth. We know that Nebraska has been a great place to be able to get a job. Wallet Hub ranks us the #2 best place to get a job. Last week, we were able to announce that Nebraska set a record not only for the state, but for the entire country in having the lowest unemployment rate since they've been keeping track of those statistics in 1976, at 1.9%. It is the lowest we've ever had in the state, lowest any state's ever recorded in the country. We know that our economy's been growing. In the fourth quarter of 2020, our state economy grew at 11.8%, by far the fastest in the country, and much faster than the national growth. We see that as we just drive around the state, you can see all the help wanted signs. And so all of this together, and of course we've got the highest employment to population ratio as well. So we know Nebraskans love to work. Nebraskans have a great work ethic. They're well educated. So what we need to do is to continue to develop our talent here in the state to be able to supply those workers to our companies who are looking to expand here. In fact, manufacturing employment in our state is actually above pre-pandemic levels. So we have seen that bounce back tremendously over the course of the last year and a half. And that means we need to be able to get people trained to be able to take those jobs. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today is how do we continue to develop that workforce? Now, we've been working on creating a career path pipeline here at the state of Nebraska. It starts with our Developing Youth Talent Initiative, which we launched with the legislature in 2015. We've now reached about 22,000 students in 59 school districts to be able to introduce them in the 7th and 8th grade to the great careers we have in technology and manufacturing and so forth. So they can start getting an interest in those and then hopefully pursue that into a career academy like they've got in Grand Island to be able to start getting more hands-on work and then potentially get some post-secondary education credit. And then follow that up with a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree or a registered apprenticeship program to be able to get that certificate to be able to pursue their career. And one of the things we did last year, or 2 years ago, well, it was last year and then we followed it up this year, we passed our career scholarship program for our institutions of higher education so that those young people get those scholarships to help make that education affordable. So again, 7th and 8th grade, Developing Youth Talent Initiative, Career Academy when you get to high school, career scholarships to get that post-secondary education. But another thing we want to highlight upon today is the apprenticeship program. That's another opportunity, another option for our young people here in the state. And that's something that John Albin in our Department of Labor has worked with the U.S. Department of Labor to help develop. And even during the pandemic in 2020, we saw our apprenticeship program in the state grow by 14% as we added on 1,511 new apprenticeships. So we've got actually over 3,700 apprenticeships right now in the state of Nebraska. And we've got great companies that are working on this. I'm going to highlight some of the work that's been going on in Grand Island where Grand Island Public Schools worked with CNH to be able to establish their youth registered apprenticeship program around welding and industrial technology and so forth. And then the Central Community College followed that up by coming in to work with a program with CNH on developing it around, again, welding and advanced manufacturing. And then, of course, that creates a great opportunity for those young people to be able to get that education, get that hands-on work, learn while you earn kind of thing. So great, great programs where we see our folks in our schools and our education and our industries to be able to work together to be able to help young people get the education they need to take the great high-paying jobs that we have here in the state. So our apprenticeships are a great opportunity to be able to do that. And we've been talking about the registered apprenticeship program and the youth registered apprenticeship program, but there's other opportunities out there we've talked about in the past as well, like the ICAP program, the Industry Consortium for Advanced Technical Training, which is based on the German apprenticeship model. When I was in Germany on a trade mission a few weeks ago, I highlighted that to the German companies that we were talking about as one of the things we're doing here in Nebraska to be innovative and creative. So I'm very excited to have all these opportunities to be able to have our young people get great career experience while they're still getting that education. And so what I want to do is highlight Apprenticeship Month. So I'm going to sign a proclamation here proclaiming November as National Apprenticeship Month here in Nebraska. And with my signature, we will become official. And John, will you come here and accept this on behalf of the Department of Labor, please? All right, who's getting the picture here? You got it, Justin? All right, he's got it. All right, good deal. Oh, wait. All right, great. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it. Great job. All right, now we're going to call up Dan Phillips. He's going to say a few words. Matt will say a few words. Kelly will say a few words, and then they'll bring it back to me. But Dan, again, I just so appreciate the groundbreaking work you've done in Grand Island Public Schools by establishing the Career Pathways Institute. I was totally impressed by what I saw when I first visited there about 8 years ago, and you've just continued to build upon that. So Dan, please come up and give us an update.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Governor Ricketts, Nebraska Department of Education for the invite in today's event. Again, I'm Dan Phillips, Director of Innovation for College and Career Readiness at Grand Island Public Schools. And I've had the privilege of working for a very innovative school district for the past 8 years. When it comes to innovation, innovative approaches to education, GIPS has been at the forefront of design. As Governor Ricketts said, from our Career Pathways Institute to our academies at Grand Island Senior High, we've been honored at the state and national level for all of our work. When it comes to registered apprenticeship, the work and recognition has been much the same. In Grand Island, we have to grow our own workforce. And through the Registered Apprenticeship Program, we've been able to do so since our first partnership was born 4 years ago. We've come a long way in those short 4 years, as we currently offer 6 registered apprenticeship programs: automotive technology, CNC operator, industrial manufacturing technician, welding, and 2 of our newer ones are diesel technician and airframe mechanic. We could not do this without the support of our amazing and equally innovative business community. We're very blessed to have 17 business partners offering these programs. As Governor Ricketts mentioned, Case IH has, in my opinion, one of the best programs around. The way they've really grabbed onto the program and made it their own. And even though that we lost a year of apprentices due to COVID, we currently have 15 students earning and learning in this model. And this spring, we're anticipating signing more than 25 students to programs that we offer that'll start in the summer of 2022. We're also very excited about 2 new programs that we'll be launching this spring in the construction industry. We'll be offering quality pre-apprenticeships in electrical and plumbing that will be able to ladder right into Central Community College or into a full registered apprenticeship program through our business partners. Again, I want to thank the Nebraska Department of Labor, the U.S. Department of Labor for their continued support on our short journey, and look forward to the continued partnership and expansion to grow opportunities for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Governor. I really appreciate your continued support for skilled and technical education, and especially apprenticeships, as we're undergoing this exciting change in workforce development across our state. Similar to Dan, we have been working on this for a little while, but we are very pleased that as part of our strategic plan for Central Community College, we decided that apprenticeships and work-based learning would be a priority. So we hired a director about a year ago, and in April here of 2021, we became the first group registered apprenticeship program of the community college system here in Nebraska. So we're very pleased at the work that Katrina has done in getting us that federally approved recognition through Jim and the state. And we're very also pleased to have our first signee is Case New Holland or CNH Industrial, and Lisa Wilson with her leadership in working with the Grand Island Senior High program help us get this going for the adults, so that if there are students that don't complete at the high school and want to continue on with the adults, they can do that. Or as there are students who want to come and just start out an adult program, they can start out with us as well. So CNH Industrial was our first, again, in the area of welding and exploring industrial technology. A&E Electric was our first Hastings area apprenticeship in the electrical area. Central Community College covers 25 counties in central Nebraska, so it was also important for us to have an area-wide approach to this. Lindsay Corporation just came on as our first Columbus area apprenticeship in the area of welding. We also this month have signed Standard Iron in Grand Island for welding, Chief Building, Chief Fabrication, Heartland Electric in Grand Island for electrical welding, and they're exploring advanced manufacturing. And also just this last week, Protex Central Accounting will be our first business accounting apprenticeship in the Hastings area. So it's a wide variety of individuals that can take advantage of this program. Oftentimes, students or parents will ask what the difference between an internship and apprenticeship is. And as I try to explain it, the internship is generally something that you do at the end of your academic program. You've maybe gone to school for a year or 2, or at the university maybe 4 years, then you do that internship towards the end of your academic program program to make that connection with business. An apprenticeship works almost the opposite. You start the apprenticeship right out from the very beginning. And between the company and the student and the college, you determine what competencies are going to be learned at which location, and it really works very seamlessly then to not have to juggle work schedules, because you know from the very beginning your employer is supporting you in this journey and actually helping teach some of those competencies that you're also building on and learning at school as well. So again, it is a really great option for students who aren't able to go right into college at first. They can get started with an apprenticeship and really make a positive difference. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kelly, and appreciate, again, their work in being one of our first Columbus area businesses.
Thank you and good morning. My name is Kelly Staup, and I am the Senior Vice President of Human Resources for Lindsay Corporation. And for those who don't know, Lindsay Corporation is a global manufacturer of irrigation products and road safety products for our customers around the world. And I'm really honored to be here today and represent Lindsay. We have our largest manufacturing facility is here in Nebraska. And between our Lindsay manufacturing facility and our Omaha office, we employ over 600 people here in the Nebraska market. So I'm honored actually to just be here and represent and to really celebrate and recognize National Apprenticeship Month, I guess is what we're doing here, so it's great. We're really excited to partner with Central Community College in this apprenticeship program. What we would like to do is to bring this top talent into our manufacturing facility so that they can learn the welding craft, and then they will be able to partner with our master welders and to really do that on-the-job training type of program. And our hope is that this is going to be a great opportunity for Lindsay so that we can encourage those students to really look at long-term career paths in the manufacturing space. We talked a little bit before about, the governor mentioned that the unemployment is 1.9%, and I will say that for us at Lindsay, we're really working hard to get innovative on how we might be able to bring people into our organization so that we can support the demand of our products around the world. So I really just want to say thank you. Thank you to the governor, thank you to the state of Nebraska, to the Department of Labor, and thank you to Central Community College for partnering with us so that we can encourage and grow manufacturing careers here in Nebraska. Thank you. And I'll turn it back to you, Governor.
Well, thank you very much, Kelly, and appreciate great partner Lindsay. So when I was in a trade mission in Germany in 2019, Lindsay was one of the participation, and I think we helped you get an introduction to the German transportation ministry and help sell some of your road zippers up there.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah.
So fantastic. So appreciate all that work. Great. All right, so I want to thank all of our speakers here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to highlight Apprenticeship Month here in Nebraska. This is a great opportunity for young people to be able to get that hands-on experience, to earn while they learn, and then also, if we think about that post-secondary education, to be able to make that connection with a company that they can then have a company help pay for any future education. So this is a great way for young people who are concerned about taking on debt from a post-secondary education to be able to help mitigate that. They can get this apprenticeship program, start working for a company, and ultimately have some of these great Nebraska companies pay for their continuing education. So great opportunity there as well. So with that, we'll go ahead and open up to questions and answers. And again, we'll just focus on the apprenticeship program to begin with. And when we exhaust those questions, we'll move on to other topics. Yes, Martha.
What does the state government do to encourage these kinds of programs?
So Martha's question was, what does state government do to encourage these types of programs? One, we do press conferences like this. And we also are really, this is one of the reasons why we did the Developing Youth Talent Initiative, is to create that talent pipeline to start getting young people interested in that 7th and 8th grade time frame to be able to start moving them through the program. And then, John, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done at the Department of Labor.
Okay. Thank you, Governor. Well, Dan mentioned one of my proudest projects that we've done, and that's the youth apprenticeships that we have done with the registered apprenticeships. The Department of Labor, during my tenure, during this administration, has also hired a full-time apprenticeship coordinator. We've applied for federal grants. We have aid that we would give out there to employers to help establish apprenticeships. Basically, our coordinator goes out there and basically does all the legwork, if you really ask him to help get that set up. So we've made it an easy entrance. We've worked hand in hand with the community colleges to encourage theirs. I'm really excited about the efforts that they've made at Central Community College with their efforts. So we have a lot of programs to encourage apprenticeships, both at the youth level, to start them off on a path of a career, and also to encourage the employers to take that workforce that they've got, upgrade their skills through an apprenticeship program that makes them a more valuable worker to the employer, and usually has to involve, as per USDOL rules, an increase in their pay for completing that apprenticeship. So that's just in a nutshell our efforts that we've made at the department.
Thank you, John.
Given the 1.9% unemployment rate, how much of a challenge is it to get people into these jobs? If you talk a little bit about, you've taken a lot of steps to try to encourage people getting back into the workforce, but just generally, how much of a challenge is that?
So Grant Schulte with the AP is asking about the challenge of getting people back into the workforce with a 1.9% unemployment rate. Again, I'd say one of the things we can look and see, our employment to population ratio is the highest in the country, so we know Nebraskans like to work. And I think a lot of it then gets back to programs like this to be able to develop our young people so they can have the skills to take these jobs. So that's a key part of our strategy. And we know it's a challenge for companies because they tell me all the time it's a challenge finding people. We can drive around, you can see the help wanted signs just about anywhere you go, that there's a lot of employers that are looking to hire. And so people really will have the choice of the jobs they want here in Nebraska. So it's a great opportunity for young people. And of course, this is one of the reasons why we're doing our the Good Life is Calling campaign, to help remind Nebraskans who are maybe living in some of those bigger metropolitan areas like, you know, Chicago or Denver or Minneapolis or Kansas City, that there's great opportunities back here in Nebraska. If you want a better quality of life, you can move here. And then we also are targeting those ads in places like Austin, Texas, or Silicon Valley. And not only do we hope to remind Nebraskans who may have moved away that they've got a great quality of life here, but also get future Nebraskans we don't know yet to come here who may be looking for a better quality of life as well.
Is it realistic to, I mean, 1.9%, obviously it's pretty historic. Is it realistic to think that it could go lower, or how is it difficult to, you're working with such a small percentage of people that are actually on unemployment on that end, aside from the apprenticeships and whatnot. How much of a challenge is that?
So the question is, with 1.9% unemployment, is it possible for that to go lower? And certainly it's possible for that to go lower. And then the other, is it certainly, presents challenges with regard to getting the people trained, and that's why we're talking about apprenticeships. But this is not the only thing we're doing, right? So I mentioned the ICAP program as one of the ways that we're also doing apprenticeships. But we've got a variety of other strategies to help get people engaged too. So, for example, we've got our Skill Bridge program through the Department of Economic Development that works with veterans, or actually active duty military, that are within 180 days of leaving the military, to be able to start making those corrections so that they can start getting with employers and move back here to Nebraska. We've also got our military spouse program, where we try to bring military spouses and get them integrated into the community as quickly as possible. And that's why we've done some of our licensing reforms around things like teachers and real estate licenses and attorneys and so forth, to make it easier for those folks to take the jobs as well, to be able to integrate back in. And just in general, our emphasis on hiring veterans, we do a lot of events. We do a veterans job fair, so that veterans who are coming back to the state can make connections with organizations that can help make their transition back to civilian life easier. So there's a number of different strategies we've got to be able to engage people and get them back into the workforce here. And certainly, we're going to continue to look for innovative ways to be able to get people back into the workforce who may have taken some time off, and get them back in. And there's not going to be one silver bullet here. There's going to be a lot of different things we're going to have to do to reach each individual group of people who are not working right now for whatever reason, either get them the education they need, or, get them the connections they need, whatever it's going to be able to meet the needs for our employers here in the state. Other questions on this topic? All right. Oh, yep.
Are there plans to expand like the Grand Island Public School model across the state? So I know there's been a
So the question is, are there plans to expand similar to what Grand Island's doing with employers across the state? And it really gets back to, you have to have an individual school district want to take the step to do that. But I do think you see that across the state. Here in Lincoln, for example, they've got a career academy that they're working with Southeast Community College and employers. You see it in Scottsbluff. When they did the renovation of their school there, they made sure they had space to be able to do their career academy. They work with companies like Aulick Industries. I know is doing a lot of work with the Scottsbluff Public High School over there. So I do think you're seeing more schools doing it. I know Norfolk Public Schools is doing it with Nucor. So it depends on the kind of the local leadership. You have to have companies willing to be able to participate. But I think you are seeing more and more school districts saying, hey, this is a way that we can make sure that we can get our young people the education they need, and frankly, a way to hold on to them afterwards from the great local employers.
How do you, this may be a question maybe for anyone, how do you decide which apprenticeship program to create? I mean, there's talk about aircraft mechanics, like, is there a company that needs them and said we need them, or?
Yeah, so the question was, how does a school decide what apprenticeship programs to create? And Dan, I think this is a tailor-made question to you.
Everything that we've done is based on the H3 jobs report, so the high skill, high wage, high demand, and then with the local industry. So like I said, we have 17 business partners, Case IH being one of them, that have come on board with this, but it's looking at the H3 jobs reports, which drives what programs we offer in school, and then aligning those programs to the local business needs to determine which of the registered apprenticeships that we'll offer. And right now, we've primarily focused on the programs in the skilled and technical science area because those traditionally have had the 18-year-old policy, but this allows them to get out and work at 16 and 17. So our kids start as juniors in this process, and it allows them a good year and a half, almost 2 years, with those employers to really learn under a experienced mentor.
Anybody else? Mark? Matt? Rather?
I would just add that, again, it's very much industry-driven. And while we, too, have started out with the skilled and technical sciences areas in the areas that they are having difficulty finding people in, or that they have a student or an employee that's interested in it. As I mentioned before, you used to be able to have to choose, do I want to go to college or do I want to go to work? Well, now you can do both. So if they have someone that's interested in that type of an apprenticeship, they can talk to their employer, who then will work with our folks to get that approved. But in addition to skilled and technical, we are looking at business, as I mentioned. Criminal justice is another one with a high need. Healthcare areas. So these really are available in a lot of different areas, and those are things we'll be exploring in the future as we continue to develop our programs and as businesses bring forward the needs that they have.
And from the department's perspective, it's employer-driven almost entirely. I mean, Elliot gets out and makes calls, talks to people, is contacted by people. Elliot Kane, our apprenticeship coordinator. So we let it be driven by the employers. We obviously work with the community colleges because they're a great resource for creating those apprenticeship programs. But it's an employer-driven program. But as Dan, excuse me, as Dan mentioned, we do concentrate on the H3 type of jobs. And I'm not saying all of them are H3, but nearly all of them are, because that's where the needs are the greatest. And as the governor mentioned, manufacturing's one of those high-wage areas, and we're actually up with more people employed in that area now than before the pandemic. So we'd like to think we were a part of that success story.
Did you want anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add is, of course, in our case, it really is driven by the needs of the organization. And so for us, the gap is welders, experienced welders. And what's been really great is to be able to work with the colleges that will help us build a curriculum that's even specific to the needs that we have within our organization. So again, it's just going back to creating those relationships and partnerships. And then for us, it's very critical to be able to have a curriculum that then matches up with what the students would be able to do when they're working at Lindsay, and hopefully then even develop into leadership roles and have a longer term career with the organization as well.
All right. Any other questions on that topic? All right, seeing none, just want to thank all of our guests today. Thank you very much for joining us here today. Appreciate it. Great job again with all the different programs to help Nebraska's young people be able to get connected to those great careers by getting them the right education. So great job, everybody. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. All right, so now we will take questions on other topics. Don. Don Walton's asking, am I going to endorse a candidate for governor? And I will likely get involved in the governor's race, just not prepared to do it at this time.
And what would be that time?
And now he's asking, what will be that time? And I'll let you know when I'm ready. Yeah, in the back.
Comments on Ted Carter's open letter to Nebraska that he wrote this morning?
So the question was, with regard to Ted Carter's open letter that he wrote to folks with regard to the critical race theory and anti-racism initiative that Ronnie Green announced last week. So let me take a step back. Last week, Ronnie Green called me to let me know that the University of Nebraska was going to be doing a program to increase the number of minority students, staff, and faculty, which, that's a good thing, that we should be trying to figure out how we get more participation from minorities. We do it at the state of Nebraska. In fact, we've taken our employment of minorities at the state of Nebraska up from 7.3% in December 2014 to 12.1% through 2020, because we've taken steps to be able to, for example, make sure that everybody who's qualified gets promoted through the first round of interviews, automatically promoted. We advertise in places where minorities consume. We hire veterans and so forth. So we do a number of things. But what Ronnie did not tell me is that he was planning on highlighting critical race theory and, in fact, calling it a journey to anti-racism, which is critical race theory. And the fact that he was quoting Ibrahim Kendi, who is a professor at Boston University who promotes current discrimination on skin, based on skin color, to make up for past discrimination. So he's promoting discrimination against white people. Now, our Constitution specifically says in Article 1, Section 30, that it prohibits racial discrimination based on skin color and racial preferences. Our Constitution specifically says that, and yet the chancellor of the university is promoting a program that would do that. He's violating the Constitution. And he did not tell me these things when we were talking about that last week. I was misled by Ronnie Green. I have lost all faith in Ronnie Green. I don't believe anything he says anymore. And I don't know how you get that back. So I could not be more disgusted with what just happened from a process standpoint and from a content standpoint. Because that document now says, that document is basically saying the University of Nebraska is systematically racist. I don't believe it. Do we need to address racism where we see it? Absolutely. But for an institution of higher education to say, hey, we have discrepancies in how minorities are doing, and then draw the conclusion that somehow everything's systematically racist, that's not even good academic performance. That's not even good academic thinking. That's soft thinking. So I cannot tell you how unhappy I am with how this whole thing unfolded. And I saw President Carter's letter today, and while I appreciate the fact that President Carter is going to step in and take steps on this, I don't see a reason to applaud Ronnie Green as he did in the letter. Ronnie Green made many, many mistakes when he's doing this, including misleading me. So I do not see that as anything to applaud. So I want to see the University of Nebraska start taking steps to say we are not only not going to have critical race theory, but to demonstrate how they're not going to do it. Anti-racism is critical race theory. That's saying we need to discriminate against people today. We need to discriminate against white people today to make up for it. That is not our American values. They talk about equality of outcomes. That's Marxism. That's communism. That's not America. So this thing is completely off base, and they need to just start all over. The goal of getting more minority participation is a good one, but the way they've approached it is fatally flawed. Other questions?
So, the letter says that Nebraska has the third worst
Yes, that's correct. So saying that we've got discrepancies between how minorities perform and then jumping to the system is systematically racist, that doesn't even make any sense. There could be a whole host of reasons why that is true that you've got to investigate and address. But jumping to the system is systematically racist is not even good academic thinking.
Well, why do you think it is?
This is something that I think the university needs to address. You know, so what do I think? I think the university needs to address. Just the same way that the state of Nebraska addressed, how do we do more to get more minority participation in our workforce? We address those through a variety of different things and have been successful. The university needs to do the same thing, but to jump to the whole system's systematically racist, I don't believe it for a second.
And what concretely are you concerned about? That people will be hired based on skin color? Because Carter's letter said explicitly that was one of the things they would not do.
So President Carter said they're specifically not going to hire people based on skin color, but that is exactly what Ronnie Green put in his anti-race journey to anti-racism. Is when you start quoting Ibrahim Kendi and saying that you are going to become anti-racist, that's exactly what Ibrahim Kendi's talking about. You've got to discriminate against white people. That's what he's talking about. So that's why I'm concerned.
Are you saying that by quoting Kendi, I didn't see the thing, but I don't assume it was on reverse discrimination, whatever you just described. But by the fact that he quoted this author, that means that the university would violate the Nebraska.
That's exactly why I'm concerned. When you start bringing in Ibrahim Kendi, who is one of the proponents of critical race theory, and start talking about where he has actively promoted current discrimination. He said, Ibrahim Kendi has said, I won't get it verbatim, but it'll be in the ballpark, that the only cure for past discrimination is current discrimination. That's what he believes. And when you're saying that is who you're holding up for your journey of anti-racism, that's what makes me concerned, that the university is heading down this path. Plus, go through and read the document. Go through and read the document. And you will see all sorts of references to how they're talking about anti-racism, how they want to structurally, there's structural racism here. These are all things that you can't actually even point to and say that's what it is. You can point to individual examples of racism and address them. But by taking statistics and saying, well, because we've got minority underperformance, that must mean the whole system's wrong, that's flawed thinking. Yeah, Martha.
So you say that the state of Nebraska does things specifically to increase diversity and to bring in some more of these minority candidates for jobs, but when the university does similar kinds of things, that's a problem? How do you distinguish between the two?
So Martha's asking me, how do I distinguish between what the state has done very successfully and what the university is proposing to do? Is that we are doing it in a way that is actually addressing some of the issues about how do we reach out to more minorities, whether it's hiring more veterans, being in media that minorities consume so that you can get in front of more minority candidates, automatically promoting people who are qualified through the first round of our employment process. Those are all ways that we can make sure we're getting more minority engagement. They do not involve saying the state of Nebraska is structurally racist, which I don't believe, or putting quotas in place, or going on some anti-racism journey that is being talked about from the University of Nebraska. So there are two very different approaches to getting at the idea of how do we get more minorities engaged. So again, the overall goal that we want to get more minorities engaged in staff and faculty, for example, is a good one. The process and what they've started with, how they're doing, is fatally flawed.
So the specific policies your concern is over hiring faculty, staff, any concerns about admissions, or what's the specific?
Sure, so I'll give you a specific example. What they talk about is equality of outcomes, equal outcomes. Okay, every outcome is going to be based upon an individual. What we should be striving for, and what America is about, is equal opportunity. Making sure we're giving individuals equal opportunity to succeed. We cannot guarantee equal outcomes. That's Marxism, that's communism. That's a great example, and that is all through their document that they proposed. Yeah, Martha.
Okay, so I'm not understanding
No, all qualified candidates, Martha, so this is the difference. We are working to engage minorities and get them to apply for the jobs, but they still have to be qualified. What the university is talking about is giving unqualified people the jobs based on their skin color. It's that simple.
And you get to the fact that that's what they're gonna do from the fact that Ronnie Green quoted Kendi.
Fred, will you go read the whole document?
I'm apparently.
Okay. Go read the document. It is not just that they quoted one professor. Go read the whole document. And it is a whole, it is critical race theory, the whole journey to anti-racism. It is that whole philosophy that runs counter to what our American values are. So go look at the whole document.
Governor, are you opposed to anti-racism?
Anti-racism is critical race theory. What we are, and it betrays the civil rights movement. It betrays Martin Luther King Jr. What we want to have is what Martin Luther King Jr. provided, which was a place where we're judged by the content of our character, not the color of our skin.
What impact do you think this is gonna have on your relationship to the university? I mean, are you gonna scrutinize what they say more closely now? Is it gonna have an impact on funding for the university?
So the question is, how's this going to have an impact on the relationship between me and the university? And, well, first of all, like I said, I have no faith in Ronnie Green anymore. And so that is obviously very problematic with regard to a smooth relationship here. With regard to where it goes from here, it's up to the university. Other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you all very much for joining us here today. Again, I want to thank all of our guests who came here to talk about the apprenticeship program and how we can get our young people trained and take the great jobs we have available all across the state. We have got so many great job opportunities here in the state of Nebraska that young people should be very excited that they will have their choice of opportunities. They need to get that proper education, and our apprenticeship program is going to be one of the ways they can do it. So thank you all again for being here today. Have a great week and have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Francis.